Okay, so yes, this is the game development project, Gamification protocamp, the first and for now the last way of actually completing this course. The idea is that we have 1 week, or well, 1 work week time to implement a design for a gamified service, serious game application, service, or games for health app. It's up to you what you actually want to design. Anyway, the idea is that this is more or less one of the last parts of the game development project. And this is also a joint venture of our earlier gamification course, meaning that for the people coming from the gamification course, this is just something extra work which extends their theory, and for people coming from the game development project, this is the other side of the coin, so to say, for game development. So basically, this is an extra project. On the other hand, this is more or less the other things you can do with game engines and game technologies and these sort of things. Anyway, successfully completing this module gives you 3 credits. It's basically design and develop some form of prototype during this week and write a short report explaining why it works, how it works, what's the idea behind it, and why do you think that this form of gamification is important. Also, the final grade on this course is not based on exam or anything like that. There is a judge panel on this Friday's presentations. They will make questions, ask about how this worked, or how your idea worked, how your prototype idea worked, and based on that, we will decide on the grade based on discussions. There's also a possibility for audience, well, basically everyone else, to select their favorite. They will get 1 grade upgrade. So let's see what we come up with. There's currently something like, 7 people joining right now. Of course, if you want to enroll your friends, other students to this course, you are obviously free to do so, as long as every member of your group participates on the presentation and can show what they actually did on your group's work. So going away from this meeting, you are allowed to still recruit your friends, colleagues, enemies, whoever, but I will get back to this later. So this is probably the last time in the foreseeable future when I'm going to show you this slide about the game development project. So the idea is that if this course is taken during 1 or 2-ish years, you will first get some ideas on how game engines, game technology works, then participate on working on or creating game with a group of people on Finnish Game Jam Code Camp. Then there's the game development crash course, which started last week. The idea is that on this set you are thinking like a startup company trying to create a game demo and marketing material and these sort of things. Well, now the 4th module, the Gamification protocamp, which you probably can't see very well because the contrast in this overhead projector is not very good. The idea here is that we focus on the serious games for health, and gamification aspects, which are really one of the more popular applications of game technology in modern infrastructure. Basically everything can now be done with gamified service, games for health, promoting your healthier lifestyle choices or some form of exercises, and these sort of things are a new interesting venue of business. So that's also the reason why we are talking about it here. In any case, during this week, define a gamified service, platform, or system. Games for health apps and serious games are also accepted. This is your first task. The B, create a proof of concept version of your gamified service or system by programming it. This is the easiest way probably to approach it. So make a proof of concept demo of your gamified service. If it's something else, like on the couple of examples, you can also mechanically create it. So if you want to create a trash can who follows people around, or whatever you want to do, you are more than welcome to do that. Also, paper designing it. So, of course, if you are trying to create multinational web service or web portal for whatever, then I'm not expecting you to actually have that system online by Friday. But you can paper design it, make a mock-up, something like that, manually demonstrate how your musical elevator or whatever, muscle-powered elevator would work. And basically, on the presentation, you can do whatever you want. You can give a slideshow. You can, give a modern dance. You can do rock opera, whatever you want to do, as long as it shows how your idea is working. Okay, so create a proof of concept version of your system. Present your work to the judges, at least me, a couple of other people I've been asking to join us on the Friday. And finally, draft a short summary on your concept and send it to me so that I actually have some form of tangible project work. This will net you the 3 credits you will need. And if you are coming from the gamification course, you are allowed to use your design from that course as a starting point, the part A of this course's work. Of course, since I was the one who also created those projects, I know that you already have a working design. So I expect it to be a bit more mature version, since you already have probably planned out the kinks and all the main lines of your design. But anyway, you are allowed to use your gamification course project. It's actually even encouraged, since on this course the idea is that you test out in real life. Does it work? Would it work? Would it be commercial success? So this is the rough schedule of the week. Today I'm giving you the speech right now. I'm going to show a couple of slides about gamification, talk about ideas related to gamification. Tuesday, tomorrow, you will have your own day, so you don't have to be here. You with your team or with your group, work wherever you want to, as long as you get something done. On Wednesday afternoon, we will have a follow-up meeting. Every group is required to present their concept to me, so that I know what sort of things you are doing. On Thursday, again, work day, you are free to be wherever you want to. And on Friday afternoon are the presentations, demonstrations of the completed projects, and of course, you are expected to email the summary to me at some point. It's not going to, the documentation should be completed along with the actual demo, but I can give you a weekend to finalize your work, especially if the judge panel gives you feedback or something like that about your work. I'll give you the hard deadlines for the document later. Anyway, this room is reserved for our course for the entire week. There shouldn't be anyone else using this classroom this week. So if you want to have some designs, draw something more or less, you are allowed to use this room at all hours during this week. So if you don't have any other place to go to, work, then you are able to use this room for the entire week. I will be here up from, 12 to somewhere around 2 o'clock. If there's someone else here, I can be bothered here. Send me an email, ask any question if you need to ask something or want a clarification on something. Unfortunately, on Thursday, I might not be able to be here because I'm giving a lecture on another intensive course. But at least on today, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, around 12, I will be coming here and see if anyone else is staying here. You don't have to be here at that time. You can come to demonstrate your work on Wednesday and then show up for presentation on Friday. That's the only things that you have to do. Also, if you are interested, during the Wednesday, when I'm just going to check that everyone has an idea and is working on something that works, I will be arranging a data collection on our project related to gamification, gamified services, and user interfaces. So if you want to help out the department, I will be arranging all the data collection instruments and stuff like that to be here. It's about 45 minutes of survey, looking at pictures and rating them and that sort of stuff. So if you haven't ever participated on any research survey or research study, with the Wednesday meeting, there's a possibility to participate. It's not mandatory, it's absolutely voluntary. I will be giving you a brief legalese description here. It's mandated by our university lawyer that we go through all the steps before actually starting. So if you want to hang around on Wednesday and participate, that would be really cool. But I can't, of course, tell any one of you to actually do that. Anyway, during the Wednesday event, the 1 hour or so is reserved for that at the end of the day. As long as your team has something to show on Wednesday that, okay, we are going somewhere, we have a plan, we have a design, then that's more or less that. Anyway, so what is gamification, serious games, and games for health? So this is just a really brief presentation about gamification. Of course, those of you who were on the actual gamification course by Jouni Ikonen, you already know these things, but since this is part of the game development project, I'll give a short explanation about the serious side of games industry. So, what is gamification? The easy solution is that it's fundamentally a catch-all term describing all the acts of bringing game-like elements into a system which traditionally may not apply such things. Whatever the reason, it's motivation, usability, user retention rate, whatever the reason, if we are doing gamification, we are bringing game-like elements into design of some system. More technical terms here, it's actually a direct quote from our research colleagues from Tampere. Gamification is a form of service packaging where a core service is enhanced by a rules-based service system that provides feedback and interaction mechanisms to the user with an aim to facilitate and support the user's overall value creation. Of course, this is just complete word salad here. It's not really that useful, but anyway, it's the thing to take home is that the gamification is act of using game-like elements in enhancement of service. Okay, so what does it mean then? Well, there's really different ways of doing gamification. I'm allowing on this course a software. I'm allowing mechanical things. If there's an electrical engineer here, they might be doing something that actually works with the real world physical objects. There's also, services. There's physical things in the real world which are gamified. And basically, how gamified services differ from games, or how playful design differs from actual toys, they are more or less trying to be explained here. So if the idea is that we are creating a game and we want to, instead of playing with something, playing is, well, working with toys, stuff like that. Playing games is on the other end of the spectrum. And we have this part here, the middle part tells that it's the whole design based on the games or playing, or just parts like one thing, user interface, way to motivate users, things like that. So is the entire design based on games or playing, or are just parts of it games or playing? Then we have this sort of a four square design. So the games and serious games are, of course, on this part, because with games the idea is to play games, have the user experience you would want to have, and also even if you are playing a serious game, for example, training your muscles or doing something else like that, you are still playing a game, but the game itself has a real-life purpose.
Would football be a serious game?
Sorry?
Would a football be a serious game, or basketball, or something sport?
Well, basically, Wii-Fit games and these sort of things can be considered some form of serious games, because they also offer you the possibility to exercise or burn calories and check. For example, the balance board games are more or less serious games, because they also offer you the health benefits for using the product. But on the other hand, this isn't really that close classification. For example, when we are talking about parts, the toys and the playful design, of course, means that this might be something like the company process enhancement game, where this overpaid specialists are given money to put the entire board of directors play some form of Monopoly or something like that to try to learn things. Or, well, Lego blocks. If they are used for design, like on almost every company game studio I've been to, Lego blocks are used as some form of design tool for level layouts and these sort of things. Are they toys or are they playful design? Because of course when they are used by children, they are absolutely designed to be toys, but on the other hand, Lego blocks have their own real use, so they might also be a design tool with playful design. Also, obviously, gameful design or gamification is something that tries to include playing games into actually doing something, whether it's learning a language or, well, exercising or whatever. Still, the idea is that you can bring game elements to increase motivation, give the player some form of feedback, which is something else than saying that, okay, now you have burned this much calories. Give them flags, pins, achievements, whatever. So basically, what is gamification and what is just, well, enhanced user experience? This is an interesting question. But anyway, the gameful design or gamification means that parts of your software or system is created with games in mind. So the gameful design implies that the software itself has some real-life use, whether it's online language course or programming course or whatever. But there is an actual objective of using the software. And there is a functional use, but the game-like elements are just used to spice up the design or make the user experience more fluent or funnier, and that way promoting motivation and all this positive reinforcement of user experience. The serious games, well, they are products. They are built from game components and game-like elements, but they are used on some. They have some real-life purpose, like physiotherapy games. You are, well, flying a glider or something like that. At the same time, trying to the exercise. The way the game is played is also exercising your elbow after surgery or these sort of things, really. Also, well, playful design and toys are something a bit outlier here. Of course, you are allowed to design a toy or playful design or whatever thing here. You can make a talking teddy bear which tries to teach people about metaphysics or whatever, but that's the other side of the design. Of course, the problem with that model is that even though it tries to be really simple, it simply isn't able to show where the traditional software is on that scale, because normal software isn't designed for games or playing, and it only has functional, non-gamified purpose. So basically, these terms are on some occasions a bit interchangeable. Also, like with the example of Lego blocks, if you want to know what the gamification is, you might want to check all these other different terms through. Anyway, well, so the idea is that you want to design a gamified system. You basically are either creating something that employs game-like elements, or in the context of this course, creating a application or game which has some serious purpose, like teaching something or doing something, showing something else. So if you have never done game development work, or if you have never done game design work or something like that, well, basically the differences aren't really that large. I would just compiled something from our earlier courses on game development project. So basically, gamified system and games can be created with absolutely the same tools that can be used for serious software development. Also can be used, created with the tools that are used on the game development. And basically the testing approach is more or less the same. You are trying to enhance the user experience. So all the studies and your experiences, course knowledge on usability studies, user experience studies is more or less the same thing that you would be doing when you are designing gamified service. However, there is one important difference here. So the objective of software project is usually that the software is delivered in time, in budget, with the intended features, and with acceptable quality. So of course, if we are including the user usability or user retention rate or motivation or these sort of aspects, we want to bring the game-like elements into our work. We also have to consider if the game is fun, or is the user having fun while doing something, or is the user experience something that we would expect. So when you are creating your gamified service, the design shouldn't just rely on the fact that, okay, you get points, you get this achievement, you get that, you get those. Try to consider what you are actually trying to get the user to do, and what are the the positive behavioral aspects you are trying to reinforce here. So is the game fun, and also is it something that reinforces the behavior that you want the customer to do? Or is the gamification useful in this context? Is it only used to fulfill the requirements for this course, or is it actually something that would reinforce the positive behavior? So basically, I'll have to get back to you a bit, I'll just show you one example. So basically, for example, these musical stairs are all over Europe. This is an example of gamified system. With the escalator stairs, we include normal stairs, but there's also a piano keyboard in the normal stairs. So each time users want to climb stairs, they can play the piano by their feet. So this actually makes people use the staircase more often. So it enhances the positive behavior because it makes people exercise by allowing them to play piano while they are climbing the stairs. And with the escalator, there's of course no such thing available. There's several examples of this in YouTube. But for example, these are gamified stairs. So the other example, really simple, is these talking trash cans. Of course, I personally find that a trash can terrible. It's sort of like a demonic presence there because the eyes are looking kind of freaky. But anyway, the idea is that that penguin there thanks the user whenever you throw some garbage down its throat. And well, it's a trash can, so it basically thanks people for cleaning up the playground. But anyway, this is a sort of a gamified service. This doesn't include any points or stuff like that. It's just a way to increase the motivational aspects of users to collect trash from the playground, because the penguin talks to you. And well, going into the software, this doesn't really show at all. For example, there's an exercise regime program called Fitocracy, where you can actually, for free, get several benefits like show other people what you have been doing, collect badges, compete against each other, who from your group of friends is the best exerciser, so to say. And of course offer everything for free, but then if you want to have some additional services like professional diet managers and these sort of things, then you have to pay some money. Also, Code Academy and Duolingo are probably a couple of the more well-known things in the world for gamified learning services. The other one teaches you programming languages and more or less all of the basic functionalities of computer systems, version control, terminal commands, these sort of things. Also teaches you programming languages. And the other one, the Code Academy, is free online and tablet and smartphone language learning system, which basically starts from nothing and teaches you Spanish, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Dutch, all the other languages. These are, well, both completely free, so if you, on your design, want to, well, I'm not going to say want to rip off existing design, but at least you should be aware of these two things if you are designing a software or service. Also, more detailed things like Zombies Run, Apple Watch application, which more or less makes a mini adventure game out of your jogging session. So that, okay, now they are gaining on you, run away, and then you have to run for, well, a couple of hundred of meters, and then you are on the safe ground again. These sort of things. So basically, increasing motivation on actually going for a run. So going back, not with these examples, what sort of things then are usually gamified? Well, first of all, gamification is really new thing. Like, this is a study conducted by us on engineering databases about gamification-related articles published in any scientific venue that's But that's indexed by Google Scholar, ACM, or IEEE. And 2010 was the first year when someone actually bothered writing an article. The term has existed a couple of years prior to that. But in any case, the last 5-6 years include basically all aspects of gamification research. So, in this sense, if you are just now getting into the business, you aren't still too late. And if you create some killer application, of course, there's a good chance that it doesn't exist yet. If we go more into the details about what sort of things are related to gamification, this is also from the same survey. Most of the studies actually are still different proof of concept works. So basically, the academic study is more or less doing exactly the same thing than we are doing on this course. Some general theory and elements are studied, for example, which user interface elements are most usable and how the different platforms, for example, support different types of gamification. But of course, the games for health, well, 1/10 of the papers, and massive online open course e-learning related systems are really popular things. So more or less we are right on the pulse of gamification research on this intensive course or code camp, although we aren't actually doing it absolutely in code camp style. Anyway, so what domains exist for proof of concept studies? I will be putting these slides available online so you don't have to write your pen out here, but these are the top topics for gamification. Computer science teaching tools, basically because computer science, programming languages, data management, these sort of things are actually quite difficult to teach or learn. This domain is one of the most popular area of applying gamified concepts. Also, ecologically friendly lifestyle teaching tools, so recycle stuff, use solar panels, turn off the heating, don't waste hot water, these sort of things. Motivation improvement tools for any service like, the customers are given these fun bucks points for all their orders, or if they help each other out on support service forums, and these sort of motivational aspects. Well, software development, this is actually interesting because the software development tools here also include all the different expert websites where you can upvote or downvote each other's answers, so you can help. Even if you don't know the exact answer, you can help the community by more or less rating the answers that would seem to be most sensible or usable. This also, of course, means that the people who are usually most correct tend to get level ups and they get more visibility on their answers and these sort of things. So basically, one way of using gamification in enhancement of design. Also, social behavior, giving points for commenting things, non-computer science teaching tools, non-computer science, science, technology, engineering, or mathematics teaching tool, e-government, so you can take a picture of some broken curb or missing traffic lights and send it to the local municipality service center, and you will get points for pointing out broken things. Business management, physiotherapy, history, museums, collect pictures of all these different things from the exhibit and you will get a free sticker. Also, other things like music related, learning to play instruments, forecasting, weather, speech therapy, search accuracy, job performance, general health, eating habits, online publishing. Does this article look legit enough? Electronic payments, classifying things in general, and driving cars. These sort of areas exist for gamification research. So if you want to make something that you know that you can find examples of, you select something like from these lists, this and this. If you want to design something that will make you millions of euros, then you select something that isn't on this list because it doesn't exist yet. So, a couple of words about the concepts that keep popping up on gamification. Well, first of all, the crowdsourcing is really a participative online activity where a group of individuals undertake tasks of varying difficulty for mutual benefit. So basically it means that, for example, translation services and understanding what content is in a computer graphics image or these sort of things, you are just using a huge group of volunteers to do mechanical sorting instead of trying to create an algorithm that sees everything everywhere. So basically it's a task which is really, really difficult for computer, like image labeling. But people are participating because they want to do that, and of course if they are gamified services, there's achievements and there's points and there's all sorts of things which enhance the motivation and retention rate of the users. Basically some leaderboards, stuff like that. But crowdsourcing is one of the aspects which are common in gamified services. Also games for health. I'm not going to get back into this, I just explained it a couple of minutes ago, but anyway, it can be something simple as exercise-inducing games or promoting healthcare promoting activities. It might be something simple like putting your information or your training log into a website, and more you train, the more different background images or theme colors and stuff like that you get. Or it could be something that's a full-fledged game, enabling you to train while you are playing, like with the Wii Fit balance board and these sort of things. Okay, well, the MOOCs, well, everyone knows what these are. These are also an area which applies gamification. So massive open online courses are more or less free internet courses where on some occasions to get the official endorsement or graduating diploma certificate you pay for. So you have to do separate payment or something else, but in general all the information, all the content, all the material is available for anyone to use. So of course there's several competing ones, and these MOOCs offer gamified elements for student motivation, retention rate, so the amount of people who tried it once keep coming back, and enhance the amount of time spent with the course assignments or other self-study material. For example, giving you extra credit for opening all the pages on the theory book or whatever approach they want to use. And of course, there's several commercial examples, Codecademy, Duolingo, and also university versions, which offer, I guess, all the material for master's degree in several highly respected universities. The point is that you are paying to get the official endorsement, not to get the access to the content. Okay, so, musical stairs, this demonic trash can, photocracy, exercising games, online open games are, of course, all the examples of gamification. These last slides include some design pointers how to actually design a gamified system. I have 3 books here with me. This Seb's gamification book, except CUPS, and the continuance book, field book on gamification, and finally this really short Werbach&Hunter for the win gamification handbook. So if you weren't on the gamification course, you might want to check these out, at least this one, because they summarize things quite well. I think the library has a couple of extra copies, but for the duration of this course, so for this week, I will try to keep these books here so you can read them here. Please do not remove these from this classroom because, well, someone else might want to read them. And of course, please don't steal them. They are property of our university and it wouldn't be really nice to do that. Also, if someone takes them, then none of you will have replacement copy, so there's also that. Okay, so what are the common gamification elements? So from the perspective of including something from the games in your design. So this list, more or less, are the most usual elements. Achievements, so everyone knows what these are. Oh, you open at the first page of the first course assignment or something like that. Here's an achievement for you. Or you managed to return something. Here's another achievement for you. So basically giving these best of show prizes. Giving avatars, so making it available possible for the users to create their own person or own character in the game, including giving them all sorts of hats and accessories and these sort of things. Badges, so you have completed this course now, so you can add this badge to your profile to show everyone that you are level 50 warlock of C programming language, whatever. Also boss fights, so it's a sort of an exam, but it's a boss fight because we are now in gamified systems. Collections, so you keep collecting those letters from alphabet or doing something like that. Combat with illiteracy or something like that. Actually including some form of strategy game or combat activity, whether it's against other players or against content or against something else. Well, you decide, but that sort of thing. Content unlocking, so you can only get the first part when you start. You start with the introduction to assembler language, then you unlock C, C#, whatever, Java, Ruby on Rails later, if you want to go that way. Gifts, so you can send help or lives or extra retries and stuff like that to other people, or just send them images or some utilities for their avatars to use. If you have extra shovel for your avatar, you can send it to your friend and that sort of things. Leaderboards, so people can compete against each other. Levels, so you are now on this level and good so far. Now try to get the level up. Point system, quests, social graphs, teamwork, virtual goods. These sort of things are common in gamification. It's not that they always work for everything. It's more like that these are the most common ways of implementing gamified elements in your system. So it all starts from here. It's the triangle of motivation leading to action, leading to feedback, leading to motivation. So this is really the most simplified thing for design. You gain motivation from receiving feedback, usually positive feedback. I know there's people who get motivation from negative feedback, but anyway, feedback reinforces the user to get motivation. If they are motivated, they take action. If they take action, they should receive some form of feedback. Really simple. So basically, reinforcing this cycle by giving added motivation by receiving, well, achievements, points, results, anything really, based on your action. And if you get more feedback and you see at least some form of progress, you get more motivation. And if you are motivated, you do more actions which lead to more feedback. Quite simple, really. So basically, it's also illustrated in this flow between boredom and anxiety. So this is more or less the progression of player skills versus the content difficulty. Of course, if you are trying to learn new language, the first assignment of the first week shouldn't be something like, here's a Bible, please translate it. It's difficulty spike and it does horrible things to your players' motivation. But the idea is that, of course, the game has to become more difficult during the progress on your system. So it starts really simple because the player doesn't know anything, but as more the player plays, they get more skills, whether it's, they are becoming more fit, they are becoming healthier, they are becoming more advanced in Spanish language, or they know more about JavaScript programming, whatever the thing they are doing, they get more skilled in it. So that the game has to become more difficult. So this is also the usability and user experience part here. Because if the game has difficulty spikes, the game gets increasingly anxious. But on the other hand, if the player is never challenged in any way, the game gets your design is also incredibly boring. So you have to find the sweet spot flow where the game gets a bit more difficult, especially since we are talking about real life skills here. Of course, difficulty spikes and unfair difficulty increases are common in video games. I mean, some game genres actually are making life out of being ridiculously difficult. But because this isn't purely for entertainment, this is actually for learning something new, like language, whether it's programming language or natural language, it also means that it takes time and it is difficult nevertheless. So the design, how to keep the difficulty in check while keeping the game interesting, is actually more problematic design problem that you might actually think at first. So basically this is how it's done in, well, almost all video games and similar approaches since the first Atari Play systems. So the difficulty increases while the time goes by. The levels start to include different things. The player is given this short period of time to get their act together, sort of rest and be reassured that they actually still know what they are doing. And when they are starting to get to the end of the level, there's a trial, boss fight, something like that, which requires the player to show their new skills. Of course, this is, again, really simplified approach, but the important thing to remember here is that if this model shows you that you have to constantly increase difficulty to keep the player interested, but actually the players don't necessarily want or need to be constantly challenged in a way that they have to have this rest and prepare time, because we are talking about time spans of several weeks or 2 months in gamified services if we are talking about something like language lessons here. So you also need to give the player time to rest, recuperate, remember what they were doing. There might be something like week from the last time they logged in. But nevertheless, very good ideas. But of course, then there's the problematic design part. Because this is a system which is meant to make people feel more motivated and give positive benefits. Of course, because we humans are so clever at making everything into weapons, we also can use the gamification approach for in several evil and cruel ways. Well, first of all, the first problem is being bored out of our minds. So this pointsification is the term which, well, it really isn't that formal. But anyway, it's the idea that you can't gamify something by just adding points into the design. Pointless addition of points to an existing system. So, okay, you get 1 point every time you send an email to help desk and they approve that your ticket was something useful. Is it gamified? Probably. Is it useful? Absolutely no. Is it just boring, a stupid way of saying that we have gamified support services? Definitely. So pointsification, if there's no point in having points in the system, then don't do it. Of course, it's really useful in measuring something like how advanced the user is, how much they are using the system, but try to include it with something else. Of course, there's also an example in the books about this pointsification system which backfired in a sense that the collection of points made the game fun or the site fun to use, but no one was actually using the actual system. They were just playing the gamification game, which included which allowed you to collect different accessories for your cow, which was your avatar in that particular system. So they just kept collecting, using things to get stuff for their avatar, not actually using the site for anything productive. Also, since we are collecting points, we are giving merit badges, we are doing other things, we can also use this gamification for slave drive. So why not measure performance by gamification? Let's make it a really nice exploitative game. Each time you complete one set of orders, you are given 1 point, and if you are not on the top 10, then you might be reprimanded or even fired on the rest of when the week is up. Of course, this is actually something that Disney did. So their one resort made a gamified system where the loser gets kicked out. So yay, let's not do that. Let's try to keep the slave drive and exploitation in minimum here. Also, evil gamification. It's actually one form of using the achievement system. So, of course, people want to show their achievements, their badges and stuff like that. So that's a really nifty way to spy or micromanage or put people in competition against each other. Because if we design the achievements correctly, we can actually use them to see who is doing what, who has done what, how much, and what features are used. It's also a way of, well, if we are doing evil gamification, we might as well go all the way and use the evil achievements, like some games actually are doing. They are awarding 1 point for a person who is caught cheating on the game servers or something like that. Of course, showing everyone that this person is bad person who is using aimbot or something like that. Of course, we could also use it some way like giving a achievement that you have been logged into our service for 2 weeks and you still haven't managed to complete the first week of assignments or tasks and stuff like that. So that's also evil. Let's not do that either.
How is it evil to tell that someone has been cheated?
It's not per se evil, but because of how the computer systems work, it usually backfires in some spectacular way because the system isn't an oracle, and if it gives even one false positive, then it goes to the crapper, the entire concept. But yeah, that's the idea. But well, if we want to go full evil, then we can design evil achievements. But anyway, overall, every idea where the negative aspects are enhanced, or let's say are put on the focus because of gamified design, it's problematic. So I would recommend, and also those books also recommend, that some things like closing service, losing abilities, increased costs with in-game resources and stuff like that, for not actually doing something or being as active as possible, is bad design. Of course, it enforces people to participate, but on the other hand, if they are volunteering in the first place, why would they ever want to use your software again if you design a software that punishes users for not using all their free time with your application? Okay, so a couple of final pointers. I've been talking an excess of hour right now. The gamification is not just badges and achievements or adding points anywhere. The idea is that we bring elements from games, allowing more expressive users or giving the users more abilities to express themselves while using the software. Also, it's used to motivate and make, for example, people feel like they are part of community or actually going forward and learning something instead of just filling out forms, returning programming assignments to Viope, being greeted that koodisi toimi oikein when it finally manages to work correctly. Well, there's also the aspect that the gamification doesn't only exist for motivating people. It's, like mentioned here, for example, allow visualization and problem solving as learning mechanics or the ways of using certain software. It's also not trivializing the learning. The gamification elements are not meant to be there as a distraction so that you don't notice that you are actually learning. The idea is that since real learning is really, really hard, it takes time and it's really difficult to become an expert on something, the gamification helps the students to retain their motivation, keep them engaged with the system, possibly even allowing them to have positive feedback even when their overall progress isn't that great. So, because learning is difficult and learning programming is even more difficult, for example, we are not talking about sprints here. We are not talking about the next 3 weeks or next 3 months. If the person is actually trying to learn something, it's really hard. It takes months to start to understand things, years to master any real skill. So gamification helps with the motivation. Also, this is actually an interesting part. Militaries have used war simulations since the Napoleonic era. So basically, we aren't doing anything really different or really that groundbreaking or stuff like that. Militaries have their simulations. War games have existed since the 7th century, and each and every one of us probably started to learn our first musical instrument simply by having to play the flute on the elementary school music classes and trying to have a concert or something like that. But anyway, it's not a new concept. And finally, it's not also easy to implement. I've been talking about the difficulty spikes, difficulty curve, the need to progress, but and keep challenging the player while not burying them under unsurmountable obstacles. So it needs user interface. It needs usability testing. You have to think what you want to achieve. It's not just slapping a point calculation system into an existing service and saying that now it's gamified. If you want to actually have the benefits, you have to design and you have to use a meaningful amount of resources, for example, in designing the usability aspects and testing it enough so that you know the skill acquisition progress enough that you know that there's no difficulty spikes there. This is also an important problem because if you are the one designing the system, you probably are already the expert on the domain. So you need to have someone who has no natural instinct on what might be the correct answer. For example, if you want to create a service which teaches your users to talk in French, you have to start with someone who is absolutely unable to say or read one word in French language, because if you can't teach the first basic couple of things, then what good is your software anyway? So, well, the list of well-designed feedback, it's tactile, it's inviting, repeatable, coherent, continuous, emergent, balanced, and fresh. Basically saying that you should give enough feedback which is somehow enough for the player to actually see that they are progressing, they get something new or relevant information on their activities and progress. They can, well, measure one against each other. If you have a friend on the system, you can measure their progress against yours, and you can measure how much you have done this week and last week and these sort of things. But it also relies on things like emergent feedback, which might be something built into the system, like if you are answering fast enough correctly to the questions, the user interface might become a bit brighter or something like this. This basic user interface and design, you don't always have to give your feedback in a form of a written textual report, although university courses tend to favor this approach. But if, for example, if the player is doing really well on their exercise session, the user interface might light up or something like that. It's really difficult to demonstrate here. If we had the dim switch there, I might try something at every time the students are actually looking like they are paying attention, I'll put the lights a bit brighter, something like that. Anyway, keep that in mind. The feedback isn't just the report you give the user after the session. It has to be something that's coherent. It has to be something that's inviting. It's something that they see and hear, and it can be some all other things, user interface design, lights, sound, graphics, artificial intelligence, give them a new hat, these sort of things. Okay, so the recorder is running out of battery, so I'm keeping this really short. So action plan. As of now when I'm stopping to talk, form groups of up to 4 people. Since there's not that many people around here, if you want to work on by yourself, that's also up to you. Of course you can do that. If you know someone who isn't here right now but would be interested, you are of course allowed to recruit them, like I said earlier. And then with your group, define your own gamified system, how you would demonstrate it or present the proof of concept of your design. So how can you show that this will work? What are we doing? Why it works? How could I convince other people that this is actually a good idea and we need to implement it? On Wednesday session, starting at 12, like today, present your idea. Just show me something that you actually have started your work and you are doing something that's going to be finished by Friday. Make the proof of concept demo and the demo presentation, whether it's PowerPoint, Opera, anything really, theater presentation, or if you want to do the demonic trash can thing, then you can build it. And then on Friday session, present your demo. On Friday, we will give you the final instructions on how to finalize your work, and then write a short summary and submit it to me. You will have about 20 minutes on the Friday session. On Wednesday, you don't have to show me basically anything else than your idea. You get about 20 minutes, so if we have 3 or 4 groups, we will have a bit over 1 hour session. Of course, like I said, the demonstration can be anything from functional bare bones program, mock-up, paper version, theatrics, or anything else. Use your imagination here. And finally, the summary document will be something similar to the end report of the Finnish Game Jam report. So there's a list of questions. This is not final, by the way. So you just answer on a couple of sentences per item, what you did, why you did it, and these sort of things. Really not that difficult thing to do when you have designed the system. Okay, so that's my presentation. So you can start, form group, go have lunch, leave this room and never come back. It's up to you. But anyway, if you don't have anything to ask, I will be hanging around here about 12. If there's no one else here, I will be leaving quite shortly, but I'll still going to check if someone came here to ask questions. Otherwise, send me an email, and if you are still staying, then on Wednesday, present me your idea. Tell me who are going to be in your group, and if you have time and are interested in helping out our department, then on Wednesday session there will also be a possibility to participate on usability study, so you can actually see how it's done. I'm not saying correctly because that would be promoting my own work, but if you are interested to see how usability studies are conducted, we have one research project and we would really like it if you would volunteer to give an answer to that. But anyway, I'll see you on Wednesday 12:15 then, if nothing else.